Constraints. What are they? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the difference between constraints and roadblocks in construction, why it matters, and what constraints you will actually see as a part of your system design. If you're interested in that and you want to take lean thinking to the next level, you have come to the right place. Stay with us. Okay, everybody, like this is my jam. I love it. There is a difference between roadblocks and constraints. Here's the difference. Roadblocks are things that are in your way. Constraints are specifically how your trades are packaged and sequenced together and how you have configured your zones. You see, if I told you that everything on a construction site is broken up into zones, you'd be like, yeah, J Money, that's right. If I said, hey, our trades should be put into a sequence where in that sequence they can be successful and leveled, and that becomes kind of like a train, you'd be like, yeah, J Money, that's right. And then if I said, hey, that train needs to have a rhythm or a takt time, you'd be like, yes. People going or trades going or work packages or Takt wagons going the same speed, the same distance apart is what creates flow. So if it's ahead of the train, it's a roadblock. If it's a part of the train or the track design, meaning how it's steering, then it's a constraint. So let me talk to you about what constraints you will find on a construction project one by one, because this is the job of the PM and the super to make sure that the train and the tracks are designed properly. All right, so let's go. Number one, lack of preparation. Why is this a constraint? Okay, I want everybody to visualize their production plans in a time by location format. Let's say you have time on the top and zones on the left. And the top row is your first zone. If that train of trades is weaving over and the first wagon of every wagon on the train isn't prepared, you didn't do a pull plan, you didn't do a quality pre-con meeting, you didn't prepare the work, the trade partner shows up unprepared, then everything on the first line of your production plan will get longer because it takes them time to run around, figure out the plan, go on treasure hunts. They didn't prepare. So you will now be constrained. The speed or the time that it takes for you to finish that phase will be extended and constrained by your lack of preparation. Number two, varying speeds among trades. Now let's say that you have your zones and this is zone 1, 2, and 3, and your train of trades is coming through here, and your first wagon, it comes along and it's fine, and then goes to the second and the third, and there isn't any interruption to flow. Well, what if instead of that second wagon being a normal duration, what if that second wagon took a considerable amount longer? When that second wagon hits the first zone, instead of moving on at the same pace like the first wagon did, it's going to linger there for a longer amount of time and create a roadblock behind that wagon. On the Takt plan, when you visualize it in a time by location format, you'll see that your first trade had a nice line of balance, but the second wagon extended and went slower. That's what happens when you do not have leveled trades or leveled wagons going the same speed with the same durations. Then that becomes, and it could be your most limiting factor, it becomes a system constraint, meaning that the pace of your phase is going at the pace of that wagon. The third constraint that you will see is an improper takt time. Inside your wagons, which are the intersection of your takt time and your zone, you should be able to fit your activity, any time that it takes to adjust for variation, any time that it takes to actually finish the wagon and absorb productivity loss. So your takt wagon should be able to absorb the activity and any time spent for variation and production loss and to finish. If your takt time is too long, then you will have too much buffer in every wagon and you're wasting time. If your wagon is too short, then you won't have time for the activity, variation, or production loss, and you will start to delay. And then that will become a system constraint because variation will ripple throughout your plan and it will hinder your ability to flow. Number four, incorrect sequence. Let's say that you came out and you were like, hey, my train has wagon 1, 2, and 3, but because of a bad pull plan, you don't have 2 additional activities in here and you forgot. As soon as that train hits your zones, you'll notice, oh my gosh, I forgot these 2 additional activities, and now the rest of your train back behind will be held up. It will delay your overall phase. It will become your most limiting factor, and it will become a system constraint. Number 5, a missing resource. Let's say that you don't have enough labor, you don't have the right equipment, or whatever it is, and you have your train of trades flowing through and going through your zones, right? And as soon as that missing resource hits, it will delay, and all of the wagons behind will hit, and it will stop the entire train of trades. If you have a missing resource, which could be a human resource, a tool, a piece of equipment, or whatever it is that you need, it could hinder your production plan and become a constraint for your zones or for your trades. 6, a lack of buffers. This can become a system constraint because if you don't have buffers at the end, you will be encouraged to trade stack. Once you trade stack or trade burden, you will enter a productivity spiral. Your overall duration will extend and it will become your most limiting factor. Now let's talk about 3 more. The most common constraints will be these 3. The first one is the wrong number of zones. If you have 2 zones, your overall phase will take this long. If you separate that and actually have it be 4 zones, your phase will shape like this and it will actually go faster. If you have smaller zones and actually more zones, it will actually incline farther. So depending on how you've actually zoned your phase, and I've drawn this by the way, we can link you to the book Takt, Steering, Control, or to other videos where I draw this, but the bottom line is how many zones you have affects the overall duration. And if you have zones that are too large and too few of them, it could be constraining your system and causing you to go slow, and it could be your most limiting factor. Another one is not planning on physical constraints. Let's say that you have an open floor with zone 1, 2, 3, and you're just telling the trades to jam right on through. But what if you have an elevator opening? What if you have a hoist? What if you have elevator staging over here in a different location? As soon as that train comes through, it will hit the constraint, hit the constraint, hit the constraint. What we should have done is weaved that train through the building with a first pass. Then when the elevator front, the hoist, and the elevator staging is gone, come through in a second pass, right? So not planning for physical constraints can become your most limiting factor. Stop the train and extend your duration. And finally, if your zones are misshaped or too large, you will have a zone that's too complex. Let's say you have zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. If the first one is easy, really, really hard and easy, as soon as your train of trades comes into zone 1, it's fine. Comes into zone 2, it's not fine. It will linger there for too long, and then the other wagons behind it will crash into it, and it will delay your entire project and the flow of your trades. So having a misshaped or too large zone or too complex zone will really hurt you. So this is a list of constraints. I'm going to link you to in the description below a book called Takt, Steering, and Control. It will show a beautiful picture for each one of them. But this is specific to the train and the tracks, not the environment. It's a part of the system design. So you need to be looking for it, know they're permanent, know that they're adjustable, and get them adjusted to where your train can flow and as fast and as good as possible. And please, please, please like and subscribe to this channel. You're going to get more videos about this interesting topic of constraints, roadblocks, and Takt control, and I know you're going to love it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.